Greetings from the high 10. It is Thank you for joining me. We're now listening to Sun Mischief. This content to owners out of Colorado who were arrested. They're being accused of stockpiling at least 200 bodies, in funeral home. Kaitlyn Armstrong, Lori Abel, Rex Huerman, Ernie Past killed himself last week. Also, we're going to talk about Sean Williams. This is an extended live stream. Thank you for joining me. Let's start off with Miss Lori Daybell. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $ began to one Cash App. Welcome during the live stream. This is an interactive stream pertaining to various subject matters. All this content is posted to my community board, and the content that I'm reading to you will also have a source. Thank you for joining me. KT is.
We also have new updates in the Lori Vallow case. The Maricopa County Attorney's Office now says there is no timeline for her back to Arizona. Now, the attorneys had hoped that back in Maricopa County at the end of the year to face multiple conspiracy to commit murder charges. Earlier this year, Vallow was convicted of killing kids, Tylee and JJ, and sentenced to life in prison in Idaho. She's already appealed that conviction, and Governor Vallow signed an extradition papers last month, but the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office says there is no plan to pick her up until she's done with that appeal, which could take months.
KTVB is the source for joining me. So she will be extradited to Arizona because she has an appeal into worked. When I get a question pertaining to this debacle, I will bring you in. We're now going to travel on to Mr. Chad. Hello. Hello. Thank you for joining me. Sunday is going so far so good. Almost 2 hours behind coming on because it took forever to get connection and gather all my data full stream. Pray it won't go too long, but one of the subject matters has a lot of people, and that would be Rex Huerman. Let's talk about Mr. Daybell. He's got something to say pertaining to Lori and the death penalty. He feels as if the death penalty is taken off the table. Do not want my opinion about that, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. It should be concerned because you kids and on your property. So why should you be devoid of the death penalty? I'm now saying that you did kill those, and Lori was the reason. She's more culpable. It doesn't matter. The kids are on your property, so both of you, go back and forth with the ping pong ball of who didn't do this. I didn't know it's culpable because the kids were there. Your property, for the property. How could you not know they were there? Stop the BS. Just stop the BS. News Nation is the source of this information. And to Chad Daybell. Thank you for joining me, everybody. Banfield.
State Attorney for Palm Beach County, Florida. I haven't understood any state in the union have any kind of code on the books that says if you don't like the death penalty, just ask to have it taken off the case. Am I wrong?
You can ask to get it. He's saying that it's unfair because she didn't get it. He shouldn't get it because there are some cases that say we have two co-defendants and they both do the same thing, or one is saying, in Lori's case is worse, then the other one shouldn't get the death penalty. The Supreme Court hasn't ruled definitively on it. But here's the thing, it doesn't matter. Because the reason why Lori did not get the death penalty had nothing to do with the merits of the case. It was procedural. It was because prosecutors did not turn over all the documents in time, so the judge sent it to them, and we're now the death penalty off the table. It's not going to be easier. So that's the case with the Chad. So one to the other. He is going down for this, and the death penalty will stay on the table throughout.
I sort of snickered at all this because I thought when you win this trial, you had the advantage of watching it wasn't on the case, therefore it's so this anyway, this speedy trial. Dave, how much of an advantage is this that he got to see the prosecutor's playbook before he ends up going to trial? Typically, they're facing the same charges.
It's a big, it's going to be a depressing. It's going to be depressing to see the person who's co-defendant get everything. The future here, he gets the dress rehearsal of his, and now, even more importantly, gets the Lori, and Lori thought she and Chad would be together for the next life, so she did not want her lawyer to go after Chad. They only went from at the end over her protections, clearly. I say Chad is not, you know what? Chad may love Lori, but he loves himself more.
Yeah, it is. We should have had a banner on the bottom. He's not that into because that's all. That was 11 pages, kind of all boiled down to that. Hey, Gary, you have a great weekend.
You too, Ashley.
Thank you for watching.
Tell everybody, let's have this conversation. He feels like it's him to get the death penalty because he didn't get it. As the commentator says, it didn't matter. He had an advantage because she went before him. The procedure to Lori, paperwork didn't get turned. Why not? This was a serious crime. Why didn't her attorneys in state get that information in? So she got the death penalty. She didn't get it because she's a female, but nonetheless, this was procedural, allegedly. Once he had the advantage to watch my child play out, I cry wolf down. He now wants to blame Lori for the crime of children. At her trial, lawyers tried to portray Mr. Davis as the culprit. He's to blame. You also speak in her statements before sentencing about doing what in heaven and everybody's looking down and blah blah. But you're the same person that said that you don't know anything and you can kill these people. Lori, you claim to your friends and associates, but at the end of the trial, you were good friends with the late Miss Daybell, Tammy. But yet you were friends. Looking down, and the kids look down. So all zombies at one time, terrible people deserving death. You and this decided who deserved to live or not. When it's time to be sent, they're all down and playing with each other. How convenient. So the what he took on her during his trial, her up. The plan. He is going to tell her, as you heard the commentator say, he himself more. It happens usually during these trials. People decide to do good. They try to figure a way out of getting a sentence, a and or penalty. With the nature of this crime, death penalty, to preserve. I find it very interesting that he knows he's a culprit. He is culpable. It's all Lori. She's more culpable than I. Why? Because they were her children. You're just as culpable because the children are on your property. They're not on your property. And in bad shit, one child melted down to nothing. The girl child, the boy child, wrapped up. Money, excuse my expression, very disrespectful to the decedent. You all treated these kids like garbage. And now it's like, oh, well, you know, I think it's more her fault than mine. So what is the be? Just BS, UFOs, unicorns, what? She told me to do it. I just did. Oh, I knew they weren't zombies, but I went along with it. Yeah, you were preaching that rhetoric. Saying you have no involvement. You were preaching that religious. Yes. We already know she before meeting you. Once you her brother, she was off her rocker before she met him. She was already speaking of people in religious context that they were speaking and talking to her. So all this was going on before she met Daybell. So you have a person who's already mentally defunct. They meet somebody who's obviously defunct, and they mesh. Then she brings on other people to ride the rise of her brother, her niece, wife. This goes to show you it can happen. I was watching a documentary about a week ago about this couple who were in LA, then moved to Arkansas to try prostitution for fraud and misgivings. And they had a lot of followers, and I mean droves. I'm not talking about hundreds, probably thousands. Just Jim Jones. So when we question these people for getting a few people to listen to their BS and follow all this doomsday crap, maybe some people have followed in and killing their own kids or killing others. But the fact that you're listening, bad enough. The fact that these cults go on for years and people have all their goods, livelihood, it's disturbing. This is no different because that's how it's. You get a person to listen, it's 10, then it's 30, then it's 200, then it's 500, so on and so forth. And by the grace of God that we know of, we don't have more people following in behind the footsteps of these dimwits, trying to kill their kids. Let's pray. We have more stories. Because I thought we were going to have a fatality with that young man who was in Canada, but he was found safe, but he's maybe influenced by some wacko parents. Mr. Daybell, you are worthy of the death penalty. You went on this program with the wife, you orchestrated or she orchestrated it. Both of you in cahoots together. You may use as your defense that you were PUSSY whipped her. And along with it, you kill those kids, you buried them on your property, and you played dumb after the fact. Idaho reporters following you around Hawaii, and you two never uttered a word. So you are complicit. That's my commentary. And before I check out on that subject matter, you still have living relatives, grandchildren perhaps. They get the opportunity to do in prison if you're a leaders and prison. If you get a guilty verdict. These children afforded that opportunity. Ms. Daybell was afforded that opportunity to stay. They're no longer alive because of you all devious minds, actions. You want to live because you have some people that still possibly care for you, your children, other relatives, other friends, associates, other who also want to follow in behind whatever the hell they're preaching. So you want to preserve your life. You want somebody to still come see that you talk right, have people send you letters, whatever packages, commissary. You don't even deserve that. How about that? And anybody behind you trying to talk to you and believe what you're believe in your innocence, they're crazy. That's the whole point of this story. You still have people walking around who are also believing in these people in their innocence. And that's even more dangerous. Cult-like behavior. Because people who aid in people's crime, aid in helping, aid in believing in them, even if they didn't help, even if they did the crimes, that's scary as hell. As I brought you content today, Sean Williams, man asking that lady, do you think the guards helped? Doesn't matter. Clout can get you a lot of things in life. Status in life, being well off, wealthy, well known in the community. People won't talk, even if they know you're dirty. They won't testify. Then you have those who have aid, hide you out, send you money. Kaitlyn, perfect example. Sister gives a passport. See, there are people who have like minds, and that's what's dangerous. Even if they didn't conspire to somebody, help you murder somebody, the fact that they would help after the fact, very scary. Thank you, Johnny. Let's get on to the subject matter. Oh, I've got so many to bring to you. So many to bring to you. Thank you for joining me. Please take the polls on my community page pertaining to shenanigans of all these crazy people. Because I think I put up some polls. I put up some polls pertaining to Rex and Elsa. Let's see. I also got a poll up here pertaining to Colin Strickland, the funeral home people. Oh, Lord have mercy, help us. Let's go to Charlene's briefly. Joining me. Somebody has something they want to tell us about an interaction they had with him years ago at the apartment building. Into a friend. They were trying to leave out the apartment, trying to get her out, and there was an altercation with a guy, Mr. John Williams. One moment, please. Thank you for joining me.
And he joins me now live for this exclusive interview. Stephen, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. Take me back to that night. That sure looked a lot like it was a rescue. Is that correct?
Somewhat, yeah. It wasn't a rescue at first, but whenever you saw the apartment, which she grabbed her and pulled her out, got pushed out time to go, and I said, hey, Abby's supposed to come with us. And from that point, and I had to call the phone repeatedly to hold her come out, because I don't think she even realized that we had left yet.
And was she afraid? Could you tell that she was afraid?
No, she didn't really be aware of the situation or the way that we had been pitched on the apartment. It's just like kind of in the main living area, and we found that hallway when she had walked through the door and the fire hydrants on the right. We were about right there before I realized that, oh yeah, Abby's supposed to come with us, and then we got shut out the door, And I called her probably at 30 or 40.
Take me past this video. This is a very 10-second clip. What happened when you ended up downstairs on the first floor, your doors opened up?
From there, we got outside, and that's when you sucker punched me back. So, one for one, but he had split my lip open, and I got bruises down in the middle of my lip, and had to get to the hospital for a few hours.
So Stephen, Sean Williams took the stairs as we're going down to the elevator and you down there to continue the fight.
Yeah. And then I spit my body into them that it's kind of graphic, but basically these real quick because I was back and fight, but then the us had pulled up in his Jeep as he had left when we got outside and ran straight to his car. Got in his car, drove around, and we took off because Sean Williams at that point was going for being assaulted and whatever.
Yeah, as I understand it, you're going to the ER, which is in your list that he's calling the police and suggesting that you're the assailant in this one. Did he not get charged for what he did to you? Like, did you feel like he was getting preferential treatment from the police?
I'm not really sure because it never got past that point. So, 911, I never had to speak to the police. We left to the guy's house, and we were there for a few hours before I got dropped off at home. I had to call my parents to come get me. I was like decently acceptable, and they came and picked me up to the hospital to get stitches. So.
I'm going to read a few of these messages if I can. These are the text messages that Sean Williams sent to you after he basically split open your lip and caused these 3 stitches. He wrote, "Sue in court. Thanks for the pool stick. You sucker punched like a girl," and a picture from the elevator. And then he says, finally got your address today. I'll be filing those charges tomorrow. And then he wrote, you didn't do SHIT to my lip with that sucker punch. I heard a guy busted yours so bad you needed stitches though. Sounds like he's trying to say someone else busted your lip, but it's not a guy, it was him.
Yeah, he didn't want to admit in chat, I believe, that he was the one that assaulted me back, because then he incriminated himself and he kind of legal. So he was going to take me for civil assault, I believe, and I think he served a court date, went to that court date, and never actually, which is it's strange in itself.
Well, given what we know about him now, that he is on the run and he has his own myriad of troubles with drugs and porn and rape and all of these allegations. Yeah, sounds like he's not much of a plaintiff anymore. Thank you so much for this, Stephen Moore. I really appreciate you filling in some of the details on this really bizarre mystery and frankly, scary manhunt. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go to New.
That's Banfield. Okay, recap of what you just heard. Stephen Moore can be seen on the security camera video punching Sean Williams, a rape suspect who escaped police custody over 3 weeks ago, kicking out the window of a prison transport van. At the time of the fire, Moore wasn't aware he is alleged to have raped several women at large. He was fueled by drugs and alcohol. He threw a woman off the 5th floor of a building, allegedly. Building in downtown Johnson City. I threw it allegedly. Johnson City is just 2 hours up the highway from the Queen. Let's go over what was said during this conversation. They're leaving the party, this guy and some other fellas. A young person came with them. They thought she was behind them or she wasn't with them. They tried to get her to come. There's an altercation. The Sean person blows her ass. They go down the elevator. Sean takes them down by the stairwell, down the stairs. The guy punches him again. The guy goes and hangs out for a couple of hours, then goes to the hospital to get his lip stitched up. I guess the lip started hurting, probably still bleeding. This is strange to me. Why would you go somewhere and not go get yourself attended to? Is this just guys navigate? Didn't think it was no big deal. Maybe people say, hey, keep drinking, or let's doctor it up. It got worse. This is very strange to me. Why didn't he, one, file a report against Sean? Did he know of Sean beforehand? Were they cool? We also learned that Sean learned of his address, posting things to social media. Those posts were a post, or he sent a message. I'm kind of curious. He says he gets a court date. He served papers, but they didn't exist. That makes no sense. What happened to the girl? Did she not find that Sean was running out of this apartment to go fight? Where did she go? Did she stay? Why didn't she leave kids? What was the fight really about? Was it about them wanting this girl out of the apartment? This is also hillbilly, goofy type behavior. Type of behavior that young people do. So you got to ask yourself, don't go this incident happened. This guy looks fairly young, and I believe he's way younger than John. Some very strange information. I believe this guy is a high. I believe he is still trying to reach his youth. Sean Williams, this whole fiasco of the van ride to the courthouse is suspect. He kicked out the glass or broke it out with his arm, foot, leg. How is it that 2 people van besides an inmate didn't know or hear anything? This is BS. 4 people on the van, 2 guards, 2 inmates, and only 3 make it to the courthouse. This sounds orchestrated. I won't knew of these people, knew of these guards. Johnson City is a very city here in the city. It's one of probably ranked the last of the bigger cities in Tennessee. First, you have Memphis, Nashville, I think it's 2, Chattanooga 3, 4, and then that would be Johnson City at about 5. So this is BS. I think they all knew of each other. I think he paid these to allow him to break the window out, because you can't say I didn't hear anything. Everybody knows it takes a while to break a window out, depending on the device you use. If you're just using your foot and your arm, It's still going to take place. I don't care if you kick people out on the first kick. Why didn't you stand? If he was handcuffed, it's kind of hard to run with handcuffs because you don't have the free movement of yourself to help the swing of movement of running. Come on now. These people are complicit. I'd like to see CCTV footage inside of him getting loaded up. That's what I'd like to see. The reaction of the people. This is all strange, and it seems orchestrated pertaining to Sean and this transport van. You didn't stop the van. People still working for the jail. Are we going to hear happen to guards? Do they have employment with the jail? How long we're planning this event? And let me tell you, it's easy to escape a jail if you help, either inside or outside. Take your pick. How many women has he assaulted? How many women are we going to hear about have been assaulted by Sean Williams? Does he have children? Is he married? Ever been married? Where is he now? He is still currently on the run, approaching week 4. Where is he? State of Tennessee, out of Tennessee. How is he getting money? Did he hide money somewhere where he could get to money? Offshore accounts. Lots of questions you can ask to Sean Williams. Is he still in the Tennessee area? Is he being aided by someone in Tennessee? Family members, friends, women friends, girlfriends. Where is he staying? In grace of God, he didn't harm the older lady. He knocked on the ass to use the phone. This is some baffling information. And did he push her out the window? He owns this apartment building in Legend. Did he push her out? Or she climbed out because she was scared? He was doing some hanky-panky with her, down with it. So she said, well, go out of the window. She's lucky to be alive. Or crazy nonsense. One moment, I'll bring you a story. Thank you for joining me. Listening to the Vault Excel. Here's my next story. Armstrong's police interview before she went on a run after allegedly killing cyclist Anna Mariah Wilson was played at her murder trial in Texas last week. On Thursday, Detective Katie Connor testified about Miss Armstrong. Excuse me. Wait a minute. They're moving too fast. Information. She testified about Ms. Armstrong's arrest after the May 2022 murder over a separate theft of warrant. I don't even know what that's about. This is more strange information about her. Okay. In the video shown to court, Ms. Armstrong was told that the warrant error. I don't understand what that's about. Before being questioned about the murder, she refused to answer anything. It was told she was free to leave. What was her about? As everyone knows, she fled to Costa Rica that day, arrested 5 weeks later. When critics emerged of authorities' failure to keep Ms. Armstrong under arrest before the run, the department cited the supposed warrant, KVE reported. Detective walked back from that search in court, saying that the warrant was correct all along. It remains unclear why the department maintained its position. There was an error in the month that followed. So it's to deal with this and the fact that we're asking her questions in the interrogation room, and she gets up and leaves because that's the whole point. I don't have to answer questions. That's my right as a citizen. So what's the original warrant? I don't really know what none of this makes any sense to me. Ms. Armstrong's ex, Kaitlyn Strickland, testified about the relationship. He was alleged that Armstrong targeted Wilson because women were involved in a love triangle with Mr. Strickland. Ms. Armstrong continued refusing to speak, and eventually police precinct once again. Why did she want to say anything? But as I said, that's her right. Detective filed a warrant for DNA Ms. Armstrong and Mr. Strickland at that time. However, authorities were not able to locate Ms. Armstrong. Ms. Armstrong's nephew with ADP was more than a month later following her arrest in Costa Rica. This is just backtracking the information from the beginning of her being questioned up until now. Talk about Mr. Strickland's remarks in court. He started loving each other, but not being compatible long term. It took a turn Monday after he seemed to distance himself from the disgraced yoga teacher. It goes back to what I was telling you about him twitching and turning, which was reported by reporters. He was trying not to look at Kaitlyn, but I find all that baffling because he had a relationship with her. He played these mind games, reindeer games with her, and who else he was tangled up with. Now all of a sudden he's in court. He doesn't look at her. He was asked, "You know Kaitlyn very well, don't you?" His attorneys asked him during the cross-examination on Monday. "No, I did not," Mr. Strickland answered, prompting an audible gasp in the court. On Tuesday, Austin Police Detective Richard Smith testified for the prosecution about the timeline of Ms. Armstrong's escape and the online search she made while on the run. Activity on Ms. Armstrong's iCloud reportedly shows that she searched her name online and basically trying to see if she could be tracked by making phone calls. Not making phone calls. Can INE be tracked if not making phone calls? The searches led to articles about her escape to Costa Rica and Wilson's murder. So Armstrong also searched pineapples burn your fingerprints, and here to land on to debunk the myth. So I don't know where she got that from, that pineapples could erase your fingerprints. This is a very strange information in searching. Whoever told her that about pineapples, she was seriously misled. Mr. Strickland's many mishaps with members of the media led to one photographer filing charges against him. And I also mentioned this to you days ago, that this is what happened, that these photographers, these people around in court, out in the public, have no problem with filing a against you if you touch them, push them, hit them, punch them. And now we find out that someone has filed charges against Mr. Strickland. In the footage captured by reporters who did the trial on November, Mr. Strickland appeared successfully go out of his way to stomp on a photographer's foot while he left the court. In the video shot by News Nation correspondent Alex Capariello, he tells what seems to be a step to the left and comes in contact with a man holding a video camera. The man lets a shot of pain, but Mr. Strickland carries on walking. And you seems very bitter, stoic, and it's deliberate from the video footage. Stomping on one guy's foot, then pushing one guy to the right with his hand, and it's like, why are you doing this? And it's being filmed. You go into court, you're playing hopscotch with the attorneys in court, you're defying with the state and the defense attorneys, acting like, I don't know, I don't recall. They use that a lot, that analogy. I don't recall. You recall. You were so tangled up with this woman. She's tangled up with you. You were tangled up with other women, I won't doubt, probably in the state of Texas as well. Then you get into court and recall anything. But you don't mind pushing people and stepping on feet. I bet you can recall that. But guess what? If you can't recall, Mr. Strickland, it is now on video and streamed around the world. According to Mr. Capriello, the photographer has pressed charges over the incident. The man said Mr. Strickland also knocked down his camera during lunch recess. The photographer catch the camera just before it fell to the ground. I think you will see that he was, grasping onto the camera. A similar incident took place on the 3rd of November, also filmed as Mr. Strickland left. A separate video also shared by Mr. Capriello showed him walking at a fast pace while the photographer walked backwards in front of him. The cameraman did not seem to realize there was a barricade behind him. He lost his balance when he tripped on it, eventually falling to the ground. Mr. Strickland appeared unfazed and stepped over him before entering the floor and leaving the courthouse. Well, we already know that walking backwards with a heavy camera is possibly not a good thing to do. So, sir, please don't do that anymore. That makes no sense. A receipt for $6,350 rhinoplasty procedure under the name of Allison Page, a boarding pass for a flight booked for Christine Armstrong from Newark, San Jose. Prosecutors have previously said it appears Miss Armstrong used her sister's passport. Let's question the sister. Why in the world would you give your sister, who's been accused of murder, your passport? Why would you aid in such a serious offense? Rather you leave your sister killed this woman, I would not give her my passport. It goes to some, but this kind of guilt. Now, some people would say, well, I would run. I can see why she didn't do it, and she was afraid that she had to go to jail for a crime she didn't commit. This is a baffling case again of true crime. Because a lot of the evidence, circumstantial naturally, some of it, appears that she killed this lady, Mo. Okay? She killed the lady. Whether you did it or not, some would weigh that it because of her actions, fleeing passport, selling her car, chopping off her hair, getting plastic surgery. $6,000 is a lot of money. So how much money did she have on her purses when she fled? Because you had to book the tickets, you sold your truck, you spent $6,000 plus for rhinoplasty. They said she had U.S. dollar and foreign currency and medication. What was medication? She had credit cards, SIM cards, and phones. How many phones did she have? How many SIM cards did she have? And whose credit cards did she have? Did she have credit cards belonging to that same sister or fraudulent credit cards belonging to somebody else? As most of you know, Wilson, the decedent, was 25 years old at the time, a competitive gravel bike racer from Vermont, and was deceased May 11, 22. A month before her death, Miss Wilson beat 30 of the top gravel racing cyclists in the United States to claim the Fuego 8K at the CR in Monterey, California. Miss Wilson followed up that victory with a win at the Belgian in San Diego, 30 of 2022, and arrived in Austin on May 10th as the favorite to win the gravel logos and Hego a few days later. She was supposed to go to, I guess, a race, but she's found deceased. Oh man, this is even more spooky. To know that a person has traveled somewhere to attend an event to only be gunned down inside of the friend's apartment. Asked the other day, did you see any signs? Any signs that something's going to go awry? Did she have a bad feeling about her trip? Did she get a feeling about meeting with Mr. Collin? Because in the end, she had to have known he was still Kaitlyn. I won't doubt that Mo did know. And she walked into the mouth of the lion by meeting with him, because we also get information that Kaitlyn was calling him. Mr. Strickland reiterated that his relationship with Wilson in the months leading up to her death was friendship, but text around that time seemed that she was under a different impression. So 9 times out of the conversation with Mr. Collin was that, hey, I'm with her, you're still with her. What was her exact? I'd like to hear that commentary. But I'd like to talk to you at some point. I I texted you that periods my texts aren't going through again. Wilson texted Mr. Strickland after they and Miss Armstrong had all attended. This weekend was strange for me, and I just want to know what's going on. If you just want to be friends, seems to be the case, then that's cool. But I'd like to talk about it because honestly, my mind's been going in circles, and I don't know what to think. Was she interested in him? Was she trying to rekindle a friendship with him? You know that this woman 9 out of 10 had access to the phone. This is how she was able to retrieve pictures out of the phone, download them herself, send them to him. When he went off to Colorado on a trip, accused him of messing around with someone in Colorado. It has been said that she blocked this woman's number on his phone. This is why when he was meeting with her, he put her number in his phone under a different name. This is how stupid Colin is. You don't think Kaitlyn would not have memorized this girl's number? Then we have to ask that question. Did she keep the same number this last time? Or did she change her number? She had access to them somehow. Who's to say they weren't even on the same phone plan? Okay, so they won't now. But either way, she has access to his phone to see who he's talking to, his photos, emails, conversations, texts. And to some point, I'm just believing he liked all of this. Who wants to live like this? Once somebody sends you a picture that you know that you took on your phone and send you that same picture to you, that should be one of your breaking moments to say, okay, I'm tired of dealing with this BS with her. She's my phone. She's sending me pictures. This lady said to me, blah, blah, blah. But you get it with her. And you go from that, from the woman in Colorado, still breaking up, back together. Comes in the picture. Then she gets a hold of Mo's information. Messages her that January before her death. Then the girl is getting confused because her messages thinks they're not going through or you weren't responding. That's a little Bo Peep had been messing in the phone, possibly. Deleting the messages, probably. You were getting them. That shows me she had access to your phone. So you were leaving the phone around because a person can't just get in your phone without getting in your phone. Come on now. This is all BS. Kate takes up to 99 in prison if she's convicted of killing professional cyclist Anna Mo Wilson after they were allegedly involved in a love triangle. Just backtracking all of the things said. I think what's baffling is that there are contradicting statements. Kaitlyn was free following a very short police interview regarding the murder of Miss Wilson. What happened with this so-called error of the warrant? Just going over all the information last week. I'm going to read you some more information pertaining to the trial. It's UK, the independent.co.uk is the source of that information. Fox and Austin, my next source pertaining to Kate Armstrong. Thank you for joining me, everybody. This is a multi-subject matter live stream. Funeral home owners out of Colorado are arrested for stockpiling dead bodies. Kaitlyn Armstrong, Lori Chad Abel, Rex Heuerman, and the dirty pastor, Mr. Copeland, who killed himself a week ago, and also Sean Williams. Thank you for joining me. The jury has been shown much of the crime scene evidence, including DNA samples, blood spatters, and surveillance video. It was an Austin police detective's first homicide case, and the defense has been trying to poke holes in the handling of the case. One of those anticipated witnesses, Strickland, testified for 2 days. His relationships with both Armstrong and Wilson. He was one of the last people to see her alive the day she was murdered. No cameras allowed in the courtroom, but Fox 7 reports Meredith, Aldous, and Krista Lincoln, who have been in the courtroom every day since the trial began, give us a synopsis of what was taking place in the courtroom. The demeanor of Mr. Strickland. Inside the courtroom, He also seemed very agitated, exhausted, upset, very exhausted and upset. A lot of times he was speaking softly. They told him to speak up multiple times. One of the days he had his hand kind of over the right, over the left side of his face, rather, it was kind of on it. It almost, his eyes were closed, so I thought it was just exhausted, you know, to show a little rebellion or having to be there. I will point out that, like you may testify for 2 days, of testimony, and a lot of that people asking him. Sorry about that, my screen. 1 minute. Very personal, going through his text with Wilson and Armstrong, asking about interactions with women. So I'm sure that contributed as well to the behavior. I don't recall seeming to be a recurring phrase that he said. He did use a lot. I'm not sure all the time if he drew it all or the way of him answering the question. It's hard to say, but they did hear that a lot pertaining to this calling stripper. Pertaining to, she was apprehended, Kaitlyn. When they found her, arrested her, they said a bandage over her nose. She had swollen lips. She had the color of her hair to a darker color. In her belongings was her sister's passport. It was stamped on May 18th, her passport with no stamp. And empty for cosmetic surgery, a different name, Allison Page. So the prosecution was claiming she went to Costa Rica to hide out, and she tried to change her appearance once she was there. She did look remarkably different, said Rebecca Thomas, a commentator for this information. Strickland was the one who had a past relationship with Wilson, not Armstrong. Because even looked into Wilson's ex-boyfriend, so why the police didn't rule out the men and zero in on Armstrong. Data is believed that Armstrong was named as the suspect. And I'm just showing that information I gathered today. Well, that's a question the defense was asking. That specifically Detective Spiller, the lead investigator on the case. He seemed to jump quickly to Armstrong, and they brought up the men that were close to Wilson. Alan Lim, I believe, is how you say his close friend, and then her boyfriend, Gunnar Shaw, ex-boyfriend, excuse me. They asked, well, why didn't you pursue these more of interest or suspects? The detective admitted he didn't call either of these men until July. It was after he had already issued that arrest warrant for Kaitlyn Armstrong, called her a suspect in Wilson's murder. He did say, though, when he talked to them, they have alibis. They are on the witness list. So I was going to ask that question. We hear from these gentlemen. It states here they are on the witness list, the state's witness list. So we're thinking maybe we'll get to hear from them and hear their side in the coming weeks. What will these two guys have to say about their relationship with Mo Wilson? We also got information about Ms. Armstrong trying to escape. This just happened a month ago. Has this been brought up in the trial, and could it impact her defense? Merritt, a commentator, News, Fox 7, says, it hasn't brought up yet, but the judge at the very beginning of the trial said it could be discussed. So we definitely expect to hear about it. I'm sure the prosecution will be thrilled to talk about it. As for the defense, we'll see what they have to say. But yeah, the attorney I've spoken to are saying this trial is more of a punishment case and a win, maybe just beating the state offer with a lighter sentence. Well, is that true? Could she receive a lighter sentence? That attempted escape is stacked onto this murder case. So if the jury does come back with a guilty verdict and the punishment case begins, they have talked to say it could be fireworks. Very interesting. Because that shows your mindset. You run our foreign country, you get apprehended, you come back, you sit in jail for a year, and then you try to escape right before trial starts. Why do that, Kaitlyn? Please explain. Trial is to resume tomorrow. Fox 7 is the source of this information pertaining to Kaitlyn Armstrong. I was searching information for her. It says that she was circling this area where Mo was. And we're going to go back to Fox 7 Austin for that source. Thank you for joining me, everybody. Thursday, November 9th, prosecutors indicated Armstrong tried to the scene of the murder in East Austin. Armstrong accused of killing pro cyclist Anna Marat, May 2022. They claimed soon after that she fled the country in Costa Rica. Prosecutors claim Armstrong was behind the wheel, pulled the trigger, and was on an airplane. Then on the knife, all within a little over a month. Armstrong's vehicle where the murder of Anna Wilson happened for a while. Then it turned off at the crime scene at 8:40 p.m. Turned back on and left the area at 9:17 p.m. Surveillance footage from a neighbor nearby captured sound gunshots about 5 minutes before that. And as most of you know, that has been played on news stations of 3 gunshots being unloaded. And naturally, after the 2 shots, you don't hear any more screams. And then another shot, which is believed last shot in the chest of Mo Wilson. Hearing sound. To hear a person scream, shot, silence, another gunshot, no more scream. Very scary information. Following Wilson's death, Armstrong was taken in for questioning. Hold on one second, everybody. An unrelated warrant, so it was free to go because the date of birth appeared to be wrong on the warrant. This is how people get out of apprehension. You all have the date wrong for birth date. This makes no sense. It's taken in for questioning, and this is where Armstrong doesn't say anything, and she should go. The defense, the detective who interviewed Armstrong, one told her she couldn't leave in Texas or the country. She said no. Armstrong did leave. The man who found her testified she was tracked to a hostel in Costa Rica. Deputy Marshal Emir Perez said he saw a woman who looked like Armstrong, a bandage over her nose, full of lips, darker hair, as I stated before during this live stream. Photos were shown of her in court of a woman who met Armstrong on her operating table. The defense questioned the validity of them. Now, where would you get photographs of somebody on an operating? This is very strange to me. Now I have to ask myself, did the doctor, surgeon, take pictures of her and why? It's very weird. When Armstrong was arrested, authorities found her belongings once again for the surgery under the name of Allison Page, the sister's passport on May 18th, and Armstrong's passport with no stamp. So why would you have 2 passports in your possession? This girl is not right. Stupid. Pretending to be somebody else, you're using your sister's passport, you're going to take your own passport, getting surgery under another person's name. So where you went to get the surgery, they didn't ask for ID. So that means you had to have a fake ID, I'm assuming, under the name of Allison Page. So how many fake IDs did she have with a graph? I'm curious. Now, there was no court on Friday because it was observed a holiday, but it will be back in session tomorrow, Monday, November 13th, for those who are curious to this information. So in this commentary about Fox and Austin, we learned that data puts Kaitlyn Armstrong circling the block, lying in wait. This goes back to the commentary last week where I told you, I believe she went dallying around in his phone, Colin's phone, saw the text messages between he and O, followed him to the restaurant, the pool, lied in wait, watch him drop her off, and then she circled around, and just commentary tells us, and then she went up those steps and made her way into this apartment and murdered this woman, shot her 3 times. 2 times in the head, 1 time. That's just vicious. What I'd like to know is how she got in the apartment. Maybe somebody can help me understand. How did she get into the apartment. Did she knock on the door? And the girl opened the door, let her in. She pushed her way in or asked to come in. I need to talk to you about this. Did she tried to push the door, closed, Mo? Armstrong pushed it back. We don't know. But she got it in the door. Was the door unlocked? She walked on in. What if somebody else was there? Was she planning to shoot that person as well? Other people there? See, that's the questions. The fact that the bike apartment, her DNA is on the bicycle that belongs to them. This makes no sense to me. Bicycle with a bicycle. You're going here to kill it. You're rounding a bicycle. I thought the bike was already in the car, and she just touched it for some reason. But now we learned the bike was in the apartment. So this girl had to haul the bike up to the apartment. If there indeed there are stairs, because we hear the Lord said he heard somebody whisking downstairs, her, and whisking away on a bike. Maybe this is the content where she did take the bike out of the apartment. So maybe the landlord did hear the bike coming down the stairs. But he makes it sound like someone rolled away on a bike. But we learned that she rolled away in her Jeep. I don't understand any of this. I don't understand any of this question. If this is what I was thinking about true crime, everything is a version. It does not mean everything is accurate. It's the truth. Every person tells. People start coming out the woodworks, their commentary voluntarily, and some are hunted down by law officials to ask them, did you see anything, did you hear anything? That's interesting about the bicycle. Landlord hearing somebody whisking away, so I don't understand if he was riding away on the bicycle. That's how I took it. Then we learned officially that she took the bike down the stairs. I doubt that she rolled down. That'd be kind of dangerous. Very weird information. That's my commentary pertaining to this is a Mo or on the witness list. What will they have to say about Mo? Does she have remorse for killing this young lady, Kaitlyn? How does Mr. Strickland feel at this point? Do you believe he's violent? Because his latest outbursts and pushing camera people, stomping on their feet. I put this on my community board pertaining to his behavior, and do you believe that he's a violent person? Because my understanding is that she's a quiet one. So I would come to my conclusion that perhaps she was pushed mentally into this wicked killing this young lady. She couldn't leave him alone. She became obsessed with him, obsessed with this female. I won't doubt that he messed with other women. Why was her focusing on this chick? Is it because he was corresponding more with this chick than any other chick? That could be it. If she had access to his phone, you can see who he's talking to. So maybe he really liked her. She was confused about the relationship with Kaitlyn. He wasn't responding, I believe, because this girl had been messing around in the phone, deleting stuff I want. Probably deleting her questions, commentary. So he wouldn't see it. Kaitlyn went on the phone and deleted her conversations. Is Colin Strickland vote? 60% of you said yes, 20% said no, and 20% of you said not sure out of 5 votes. Very wicked information. Very wicked information. Huerman. It's my next subject, Rex Huerman. A lot of information has come out past month pertaining to linkage between Rex and the Gilgo Beach murders, other victims found nearby. Dateline has done a special pertaining to the Gilgo Beach murders. It aired on Friday. Police local listings and Peacock are streaming networks. You can watch the networks. It is also said streaming was at the home of Ella Huerman. Who was this? Netflix, Hulu, Peacock. Stars, HBO, who are we speaking of? What is trying to talk to her is going to give a public interview via a network, and what will she have to say? And is the truth. What is the knowledge pertaining to these deceased women? We have a witness coming forward who says she's a swinger, went to that house with a detective. This is African woman speaking. And Elsa didn't participate in any activities with her at night, that house, but they did take a Caucasian cell there. I believe that's Miss Forgot. And I found it interesting that this woman never put that face that was in her house, that woman face posted on the news, her body was found. Forgot. How could you not say to yourself, oh, that was my house. She was, my husband was her. This is all strange information to me. Very, very strange information. She's also been seen going to see Rex in jail. What did they talk about? I put up a poll. I also went to see Rex in jail. Did she to sign divorce papers or other legal issues? 57% believe to get him to sign divorce papers, legal issues. And to tell the truth, 0%. Love him, support him, 29%. Then I asked A or A and B, 14%. Do you think Elsa knew about one of the murders? All. One of the murders, 0%. All of the murders, 67%. Not sure of any, 33%. Thank you all for taking these polls. Authorities say Elsa aided in Gilgo Beach murders. Do you think this? 7% of you said yes. 67% of you said no. 33% of you said not sure. Thank you all so much for that information. Guns have been returned to Elsa that belong to Rex Heuermann. It is also that she wants to sell these guns. One could say, why? Because she's what? Unloading the house, the estate. Is she going to sell the house? Number one. Guns have been returned, allegedly. She wants to sell the guns. I hear that a streaming app service has been there with cameras and equipment. Who is she talking to? Did she ask for money? Did they offer her money to talk to her? And who is the streaming service that spoke to Elsa? Who else will they be interviewing and talking to? And once again, Dateline has uploaded content pertaining to Rex Heuermann and other people they've talked to, witnesses, family members relating to the Gilgo Beach murders. Very wicked commentary pertaining to Beach and Rex. I do believe this woman has knowledge, because as I said, a witness puts themselves at the house, the victims running around the driveway, playing games. The detective who was with the woman said, oh, they're just playing a game. That girl was later found dead. We have to ask ourselves, how is it that Elsa would not have seen that woman's photograph on the news and not say to herself, oh, that lady was in my house. Oh, she brought here by a black lady and a detective. I also like to know the race of that detective. Nancy Grace has asked, I believe, that attorney who's been bringing forward information, do you know who the detective is? And he says yes. So will his name ever be mentioned to the general public? The detective who was at Rex's house for the swinging party. How long were they swinging? Did they swing with people on Long Island only? New York City, New Jersey, other states? People in the neighborhood, the town of where they live? Will we get more of people who swam in? And did he pick only certain type of people to murder, such as sex workers? Oh, I'm not going to kill any of the swingers, but I'll kill a sex worker who swims, who information was not looking kempt from that lady's assertion. So I have to ask myself that question. Why would the detective a lady who did not look well? And I don't even want to ask what that meant. Hair not combed, looked out, alcohol, what? So the lady who was with him might have said, I have to have sex with her. She looks bad. Hell, did she smell bad? I'm curious. Because this is a weird information. But some people believe the assertion from this woman that the information she brought forward about going out to this house is the truth. They believe that she went out there with the detective and this other victim, and the victim stayed behind. She saw her window of the house, and the detective said, "Oh, she's not going back with us. They're just playing a game." And that's the way that was worded. Because obviously the woman thought the girl was in distress to ask, "Is she coming with us?" The detective says, "No, she's staying behind. Just playing a game." Something was going on negative or nefarious for the woman to even question why we got her back. And we later found that lady was found deceased in Gilgo Beach. I find it interesting, only 3 but believes she knew one of the murders are all. That's all, excuse me. Let's talk about Elsa. Thank you all for joining me. Multi-letter live stream pertaining to true crime and updates. I got a few stories relating to him. I'm just going to go through all of them. CBS News is the source. There are some women who are sex workers incarcerated in jail where Mr. Norman is currently at the moment. This was uploaded the 19th of October. Police task force is looking into news affidavits claiming to connect killer Rex Heuermann to other victims. Suspect Rex Heuermann. In a CBS New York exclusive, the sheriff of Suffolk County tells our Jennifer McLogan that some potential key witnesses are in the same where Heuermann is being held without bail. My staff has interviewed 41 sex workers. Wow, this is crazy. 1 second. Gosh, this information just does not want to stay on board. Hello, Terry. Thank you for joining me. Sorry it's so winded, but it's so much to bring to you. The investigation to the Gilgo Beach serial killer has brought Heuermann behind bars. 12 women have claimed interaction with Mr. Heuermann, female inmates who have worked as escorts. Whether they actually had a physical encounter, a phone call, was it through social media, anything we can gather from them will be very helpful. 2 of those conducted by Toulon's Specialized Human Trafficking Unit could bear fruit. Very interesting. So what is it that they said, these 2 women, that makes authorities believe they have had some type of interaction with Mr. Rex? Was it sex, swinging? Was he violent with them? Did one escape? What do these women have to say? That they may have validity to him being a killer. We still haven't been able to make those claims of those 2 women that he was violent and aggressive. Toulon said, once again, very interesting. Heuermann is no longer on suicide watch. I doubt that he ever killed himself anyway. He had sheets on his bed. He also has shoes that had shoelaces, Toulon said. There's constant supervision. Heuermann's 60 square foot set has bunk, sink, toilet, plastic mirror. He is allowed to read newspapers, his case, books from the jail library, files from his bank, and watch TV outside cell. The correction officer will change the channel for him. He's not really engaged in watching it unless it's a news program, Toulon said. About himself, McLogan asked. About the news, Toulon said. He's allowed 1 hour a day in the exercise yard under observation by correction staff, and so he has an opportunity to shoot basketball hoops if he wanted to. He can do sprints, pull-ups, dips, push-ups, Toulon said. Is he doing those type of activities? I doubt. Under observation by the staff, and so he has an opportunity, once again, as I said, to do all these type of activities if he wants to. The only thing he's done is walk around the yard, Toulon said. Heuermann has been visited by a chaplain and 1 unnamed acquaintance. Who is that acquaintance that has visited? He has had visits, many visits from his attorney, but not his family, Logan asked. No family members, Toulon. We noticed in court that he had a new haircut last time. Yes, I did notice that haircut, and it looks very creepy to me. All the sides shaved off. His very strong features, very masculine, dog-like features to me. He reminds me of a big bull-faced pit bull, in my opinion. They said, yes, he has received a haircut. We were able to find someone that met all our security measures. As the case through court, conferences, hearings, Heuermann's attorney, no comment. Now, naturally, this was uploaded by this content that you are hearing. Suffolk Sheriff says his sex trafficking unit has gained the trust of other escorts, expanding interviews in Nassau County Jail. Wow. New York City, each claim must be validated. CBSNews.com is the source. So, women have been interviewed, seem to be substantial. Will they be able to bring us some type of validity to their conversations pertaining to Rex Heuermann? Thank you, Terry. Thank you so much. You know, we're talking about type of interaction with persons, it may be hard to bring a receipt because everybody does not keep phone numbers, text messages. A lot of people keep text messages in their phones day to day, month to month, year to year. I personally don't keep text messages. I only keep text messages when I feel like it's relevant to a situation that I need a backup to show what a person did and did not do, you know, such as apartment living, legal stuff. Then I'll keep the messages to show proof of conversation. But there's everyday conversations with a person, I don't keep them. For what? But you have people who will keep them. I don't see the purpose in keeping all of that. But maybe people do because they just don't think they'll, erase the conversation, or they feel like they may need them down the road. As I said, who's going to keep conversations with this big bulky thing? Because we know how far back these situations go with these sex workers. A year ago, 5 years ago, 15 years ago, I don't know. But once again, as I said, how long was he and his wife swinging? Was Elsa an active swinging participant? Because she could have been at the house, he held them at the house, but she participated, but she went along with it. Her lawyer, she was pregnant, or his lawyer claimed she was pregnant at the time. So was she pregnant at the time when this lady and the detective went there with the other victim? So she didn't participate because she was pregnant. She didn't participate because she didn't like any of those ladies. She didn't want to participate because that one lady was black. What's the truth? Did she ever participate in any swinging of partners at that house or any other location? No. Another question: did Rex swinging party at other locations, other people's homes, hotels, spas, resorts? What's the truth? And will some of this information we found out is fraudulent? That people may be just coming out of the woodwork with information just to be seen and heard. We do have sick people out who act as if they've known somebody, talked to somebody, spoke with somebody, and they have no bearing to the case, and the information is not factual. We have co-workers that have come out now to speak new information. We also hear that Elsa has gone to the jail to see him recently. So what does she have to say? We also have information that she will be attending court. Why? Is she now deciding to support Rex Heuermann? Is she afraid that something's going to get out about her, and that's why she's now going to the jail? What is the latest conversation between the two? Because at first you didn't hear of her going, visiting regularly, nothing. Just that she wanted the guns returned. She filed for a lawyer soon after he was arrested. But that's it. Few people trying to talk to her saying, oh, it is what it is. What you see, it is what it is. She's very stoic. She's very cold looking. She's not a very attractive woman. She doesn't keep her pants up, what we saw back in the summer. So why now all of a sudden he's going to the jail? What are they talking about? What have they said? Are they talking in code? Is she supporting him? Or is she just trying him to give her the reins over the financial situation of bank accounts, offshore accounts, deeds to the house, properties, because she's trying to move forward? Get him to sign the divorce papers. Get him to admit he's done this. Is she trying to get the upper hand on him so she can make a clean break, her and the kids? Maybe her lawyer's telling her, buddy up to him, get some information, get all you can, get him to sign the papers, divorce papers, Because in the end, he's locked up, he's not coming out. He might as well hand over the reign to her. And if he doesn't, she'll just take him to court. He can't appear. She will be awarded everything because she's legally married to him. Okay? Terry says, what the hell's going on in the jail? Yeah, you can't make this up. So he may be trying to hold out. I'm not going to sign the divorce papers. I'm not going to tell her anything. I'm not going to sign any document for her to have access to the bank accounts, properties, blah, blah, blah. But in the end, she's married to him. The judge will gladly give her permission to go into bank accounts, pertaining to his name legally on paperwork, properties, cars, guns, whatever, because she's married. And I find it strange that the woman is trying to get those guns back, never been awarded back to her. That was the weirdest thing to me. It's like, of all the word about, you weren't about some damn guns. That lady, she didn't have access to money. You talk about almost 300 guns. As somebody said on a news show the other day, is it relevant that he had all these guns? Yeah, it's relevant because he was a serial killer. Hell yeah. And yes, there are people who collect guns, collect all type of memorabilia from different things. But now that you find out this man is linked to DNA with dead people, dead women, sex workers, he's got all these guns. Who's to say he didn't use some of these guns to murder these women? When we find that out, were all tested by FBI state police to link Huerman to the victim found on Gilgo Beach and other areas nearby Gilgo Beach. Will these weapons be linked to the victims? Because there are other dead bodies that he has not been formally linked to by DNA. A lot of information. Okay, everybody. Just trying to bring you the latest into Rex. And also that commissioner, the African-American commissioner, has resigned to spend more time with his family. Is that true? He has a daughter playing basketball. I can't remember if they said it was college. Why would he resign? His answer is to spend more time with family. But will we find out that there's something more to why he resigned? Suffolk County Commissioner. Very interesting information. CBS News is my next source pertaining to Mr. Huerman. One neighbor recalled his casual threat over a less than precise parking job. Another said her family had talked with him just once, even though they in the same Long Island neighborhood for years. A former co-worker remembered the time he cared for her while she was injured, and that kindness her parents later thanked him for. At the center of these contradictory recollections is Rex Huerman, Manhattan architect, who law enforcement officials believe is responsible for killing at least 3 women in cases that remained unsolved for more than a decade after human remains were found on Long Island's Gilgo Beach. The reflections on Huerman provide a window to how a man, whom authorities describe as a demon that walks amongst us, appears to have interacted with neighbors, colleagues, and others who contact him. Well, he's a sociopath, psychopath, and they know what is expected of people, which is to act civil, laugh, smile. It's all an act. Deep down, he's a very ill person. I wasn't part of his dark world, Catherine Shepard, the interior designer Huerman helped care for, told Dateline in her first interview about her former colleague. He had other face on when he was with me. I just understand how it can be this person, she said. But to Nikki Brass, a former escort turned dinner with Gilgo, Brass told Dateline. People kind of laughed it off like, yeah, right, I'm sure you did. Huerman 60 was charged July 14th, first-degree murder in the killing of 3 sex workers, Melissa Bartholomew, 24, Megan Waterman, 22, and Amber Lynn Stello, 27. Authorities in Suffolk County also described Heuermann, who has 2 children and whose wife filed for divorce days after his arrest, as the prime suspect in the killing of a 4th sex worker, Maureen Brainerd Barnes, 25, according to a bail application from the district's office. Brainerd Barnes was last heard from July 9, 2007. Her remains were discovered the same day, December 13, 2010, as Waterman's and Costello's Bartholomew was found December 11th. And that's the strange part about the story. While authorities were out looking for a victim, that's when they discovered these other bodies. How convenient. So why wouldn't people think and authorities assume Rex wasn't responsible for these other dead bodies? So imagine you're going out here to look for this person. What led them out there to look for the one victim? I always ask that. And then while you're looking for victim 1, you stumble across other victims. See what's so crazy? See, I'm going to read this. Barnes was last heard July 9, 2007. Her remains were discovered the same day, December 13, 2010, as Waterman's and Costello's Bartholomew were found on December 11th. The 4 women were found along Ocean Parkway, a waterfront road that spans the length of a barrier island just off of Long Island South Shore. Heuermann has pled not guilty and denied involvement in the killings. Ian, who has never been arrested before, Heuermann's lawyer, Michael Brown, has said he's maintained his innocence from the inception of this case. Heuermann has not been charged in the disappearance of a 5th sex worker, Shannon Gilbert, who vanished 2010 in nearby Oak Beach, and whose case prompted the search that led to the discovery of the other women. So Gilbert is who I'm speaking of as victim number 1 in an original search. They're looking for Shannon, and then they find these other sex workers. Gilbert's skeletal remains were discovered in a marsh, December 2011. Authorities believe she may have drowned, said Suffolk County Police Commissioner Rodney Harris. This is the commissioner who has now resigned as Suffolk County Police Commissioner. A lawyer for Gilbert's family, John Ray, has said an independent autopsy found she was likely strangled. Do you believe this second autopsy, that she was strangled and did not drown? Heuermann also has not been charged, as with several others found along Ocean Parkway, including Jessica Taylor, Valerie Mack, 2 sex workers whose partial remains were found along Ocean Parkway during the search for Gilbert. Partial remains from both women were also found years earlier in Maynardville, about 45 miles east of Gilbert Beach. So what were the remains? Limbs, torso, what? And why are we finding some of the remains along Ocean Parkway while they were searching for Gilbert? And then they're also, years before, found in another town of Maynardville, 45 miles east of Gilbert Beach. That's about, what, 30 minutes or so? It's very strange. Or is it articulated? Just the body, put a few body parts here, Ocean Parkway, then I go over here to this location, drop off some over in Maynardville by the same killer. In an interview line, Harrison said authorities are still investigating possible links between Heuermann and the other victims. One thing we're not going to do is rule out any of those bodies that were found out on Ocean Parkway, he said. In August, authorities in South Carolina said they were investigating a possible connection between Heuermann and a woman who vanished from Sumner County, east of Columbia, in 2017. And this is Kaitlyn Shepard, I believe. And they also appeared them in a photograph in 2004, picture together, where you see he looks much younger with glasses. Skin looks a little younger, puffier. For Shepard, who met Heuermann in 2002 when they shared office space in Manhattan, the stark descriptions of her former colleague were disorienting. She said she's known Heuermann to be jovial, amiable, and professional. Okay, so this is not the lady that was in South Carolina. This is Kaitlyn Shepard. But anyway, there's a picture of her and Rex, Miss Shepard, in 2004. Nothing even blipped on my radar, she said. Once, roughly a year and a half, Shepard moved to New York from California, Sharing it off with Huerman, Shepard recalled that she slipped on black ice while walking to work. A few hours later, when Shepard decided she couldn't walk, Huerman volunteered to take her to the hospital, she said. Shepard couldn't recall if they drove her a cab, but he waited while she underwent an MRI. I ended up having a bulging disc and I was in a lot of pain, Shepard said, adding that Huerman then helped her back to her apartment. He put me up there and got me settled in my room and then went to the drugstore to get my medication, she recalled, adding, I was thankful that he was there taking care of me. Nearly 2 years later, when Huerman was renting a home in Mesquite Park, a suburban enclave southeast of Manhattan, he hired Shepard to help measure the home's interior. The job was unremarkable, Shepard recalled, save one moment. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. After completing the first floor, she recalled, they went to the basement. There were several rooms and a couple of closets. As they worked their way through this area, said, Huerman was in front of the doorway of one of the rooms. He just said, you can't go in there, Shepard said. I remember that because it was so unusual. Shepard recalled Huerman explaining that he had a bunch of guns inside and children at home, so she moved on. Later, when Shepard drew up Huerman's floor plan, she labeled the area the mystery room, she said. And that was just a nudge to him because he wouldn't let me in there. She recalled, I was just kind of joking, and now it's pretty chilling. Huerman's arrest, authorities recovered 209 weapons from his home. Suffolk County District Attorney Randy Tierney told reporters Huerman had more than 90 gun permits, officials have said, dozens of unregistered handguns and assault weapons, according to an October report from the Suffolk County District Attorney's office. Let's go back to that. Why do you have weapons that are unregistered? Or not? And now he's believed as a murderer. This is right. Almost 300 guns and someone registered. Roughly a decade after Shepard's trip to Mesquite Park, Huerman went on a date with Brass, the former escort who told Dateline. They went to an upscale Island restaurant. He introduced himself as Rex. He described himself as a divorcee with an interest in true crime. So now we know that he lied. But this is what we have learned from most murderers, such as Anderson. He told Amber Fry he was divorced, if I'm not mistaken, in the divorce. We also hear this as of late in commentary of another story. I can't even think of it right now, but it's on the tip of my tongue, where everybody lies about being married, being divorced. Oh, Chris White, older content. He's told that young lady, oh, I'm going through a divorce. I'm getting divorced. Then at one point, before he murders his wife, Shanann, and the kids, he told her he was divorced, but we learned that he never was divorced. To Brass, herself a fan of the genre, Huerman seemed most eager to discuss the series of grim discoveries that had been made along Ocean Parkway a few years before, she said. When he brought up the Gilbert murders, he liked straighter, Brass said. He had a smile on his face. Huerman asked Brass if she believed Gilbert was linked to the other death calls, and he wanted her theory on how bodies had been disposed of so quietly. Brass recalled telling him that she'd never been to Gilgo Beach and had no. Huerman described the area as dark and desolate. Brass recalled and said they could have been dragged in the camouflage burlap sacks some of the remains were found in. Have said the remains of Bartholomew, Waterman, Costello, and Brandon Barnes were bound at the head, midsection, and legs with camouflage burlap. Very interesting. Bound at the head, midsection, legs with camouflage. To Brass, the conversation was alarming. His body language, the way he spoke, it wasn't a true crime buff. It was somebody who was there's a difference. You can just see it. You can tell, like, his entire demeanor changed. Brass was so alarmed that she did something she'd never done before in her former trade. She asked her friend to meet her in the restaurant parking lot. Huerman told her that he lived close to Gilgo Beach, Mesquite, 15-mile drive, and invited her to his home. She demurred, saying it was getting dark and she didn't feel comfortable driving at night. She planned on ending the day there, she recalled telling him. When Human insisted and she said he could drive, Brass recalled she told him she had a friend outside waiting to ensure she get safely to her car. He appeared agitated, Brass said, but she left and didn't see Human again until years later after he'd been identified in the Gilgo Beach killings. In an alternate universe, Brass said she would have agreed to Human's invitation. It might have never made it home. A lawyer for Human did not respond to the questions about Brass's account. Confrontation with the neighbor. Before we get into the confrontation, so much. 1 hour and 30 minutes into this live stream. Is this information the truth that they had this conversation at dinner? Does she normally go to dinner with her prospects? Each prospect similar in the date. We go to dinner, then we have sex. So as she said, had I just went on to his house, would I not have been seen again? Possibly not. And this goes to the fact that she says he asked to take her to the house. If that's true, then this is his MO. He has taken these women to his house. So let's just say, for common sense sake, when you're talking about binding a victim, dismembering a victim, you have to have a plan to do this. And most people know that these people are victims when they are bound, gagged, dismembered, however they're discarded after the fact. They had to have a starting place, which would be a house, a shed, a barn, a garage. Stay woke. She says she feels like he was there at this place, Gilgo Beach, drugged the bodies out in the camouflage. Yeah, because it's too obvious something that white skin is visible if somebody was to drive by. Camouflage, tail driving by on the way. Nearby the crime scenes, easy access to dispose of the bodies. Out, in and out. What's even more disturbing, if he is the killer, he's dropped these bodies out protected. How many times? How many things are we talking about? As I said, is this information the truth she has relayed to the public and now Dateline? Let's have the confrontation with the neighbor. A few months before Human's July arrest, he was walking through his tree line when he paused at the end of a neighbor's driveway to a neighbor, Jimmy Mack's Dateline, in his broadcast in. At the time, Mack was on smoking a cigarette. He couldn't hear him yet. Bush's high porch. But Mack heard him. Oh, this house again. Mack recalled Human saying, those girls and this dude again. After half a minute, Mack, Human, whose name was still standing there talking, so Mack said he popped up. We kind of startled each other, Mack recalled, and he was there into my walk where the walkway meets the street talking to my house. I said, "Are you talking to my house, bro?" Mack said. He said, "Is this your car?" Mack recalled that the truck was parked halfway onto the sidewalk. He didn't like that, Mack said. "Oh, I told you before, now slash the tires on that truck." Human allegedly made the threat calmly and said he'd return in 50 minutes. Max said the truck belonged to the son of Max's wife, adding that he ran inside and asked the son if he previewed a confrontation with Herman. He said he hadn't. Max called. Very interesting. Moments later, Human was a few houses away and Max had given. Max said he cut off Human and for Human's apparent comfort with threatening a neighbor and word he made with a gun, told him to stay put. Mack did not say Human mentioned that he would return with the firearm. It was roughly 10 at night, and the scene was drawing attention. Mack said he tried to take Human's photo in case he come back, but a neighbor who seen the confrontation tried calling him, preventing his camera from working. So Mack said he challenged her to tell things then and there. I said, if you want to handle our business, let's get it over with now or I never see you again on this block. Max said he told you. At that point, I was so heated. And he said, no, we're good. 3 times. Max said he tried to follow him in his car, but by then he disappeared. Max later alerted his neighbors to the protection in case anything ever happens. He recalled thinking at the time. Then came arrest. When Max watched a photo of him, the accused, Max said, I almost jumped out of my shoes. I couldn't believe it, he said. That's the guy, a lawyer. Human did not respond to questions about Max's account. So as you hear, Human's lawyer is not responding to any of these accounts. From the escort having the dinner with him, this guy's account of an altercation over cars parked on the street, sidewalk, whatsoever. This is how people get killed. And this man, he's fortunate as well because he doesn't have a problem murdering workers. He wouldn't have a problem with killing you, your wife's son, whomever's son, because he is a killer. Maybe he saw his role here late before the arrest, because we do hear of serial killers going dormant, but nonetheless still a killer. But he's probably doing anything right there because people now have cameras, and he didn't alert any attention where he sleeps naturally. Possibly did contemplate slashing the tires. The fact that he even said is even more, because also shows you that Human is a warrior. He's a stalker. He likes walking, looking, lurking. And you heard about the woman on the cruise ship where he tells her to find her if he finds a note at her door or whatever on the cruise ship. This is what he's about. Lady who fell at work on the ice, and then he didn't make any patches from the conversation. Allegedly, he helped her, blah, 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 took her to the hospital, helped her back to her apartment. Well, he possibly chose his victim wisely. I'll choose women who I think don't care about, try them, hurt them, get them gone, bump them, but I ain't a co-worker on the job, somebody that works in the building, because it'd be too obvious. But that's what I'm saying. You don't shit where you eat. Excuse my language. That's right. You don't mess with people in the neighborhood. You don't get involved personally, date them. You don't date the people on your job. Kill the people at your job. You don't kill the people in the neighborhood. You kill people that aren't from the neighborhood. You have people that aren't from, if you get, that's what he did. He didn't play where he laid. And that's an old saying. You don't play where you lay. Is this account the truth coming from this neighbor? If you want to verify this storyline, that is what I'm curious. Did this woman know of these victims? She helped kill victims, discard, have knowledge during, afterwards, covering it up, because there's no way I'm going to know he didn't bring these victims to his house, because that's looking. He's taking these women to his house and or hotels and murdered them and then guarded them out there in Gilgo Beach, also Ocean Parkway, I do believe, if he tied to those victims. Because you now have a sex worker, escort, he invited back to his house. So we have a black lady and detective who gone out to the house for swinging in Fagara back there, and she's now a victim linked to him. That leads me to believe he's brought other women back there and possibly murdered them at his house. And if we're to believe that he's linked to the ones on Ocean Parkway who are dismembered, then that's where he would have taken them to help them, kill them, chop them up, and then take them out. And how is this woman not knowing of this? Because if you're there for parties as an eyewitness or participant, pregnant or not, swinging with them, then showing up, and then later, then their pictures are shown on the news, you want me to believe she doesn't recognize any of the photos of these women faces to the news. This is BS. BS. Thank you for joining me, everybody. Once again, if you'd like to donate to this great network, $Big Angie 129 Cash App, stickers and chat to welcome during the live stream. Please take the polls on my community board. Updates are posted regularly to my community page. Some stories I discuss on the network. Some I just bring you updates to breaking news. Chad and Lori Daybell, funeral home owners arrested. Kaitlyn Armstrong, Rex Huerman, and also the dirty pastor. I have two, and also Sean Williams was also mentioned during this live stream. The two subject matter are going to be pertaining to the pastor and the funeral home owners. Here is the next subject matter. Dead bodies found in a funeral home out in Colorado. The owners, a man and a woman, wife and husband, have been arrested. I will now bring you that commentary. One moment, please. Thank you for listening to the following set. Funeral home owner bodies found stacked. This is bad. It's Fanfield and News Nation, everybody.
Money laundering and forgery. Top of that, families are abusive, theft, money laundering, and forgery. On top of that, families are going to sue and are in the process. That's why Antoine is here. He's an attorney in Colorado Springs. He's representing a case. And Andrew, this is just so unbelievable. First, before I get to the civil part of it, the idea in Colorado what kind you can face in prison for abuse or theft, money laundering, forgery?
Understanding is that it could be several decades, but unfortunately, it could be as little as probation in this case.
How?
Sorry about that.
Is it possible that level of depravity that it could be probation? And I'm guessing, friend, it could be. But on this kind of case, it wouldn't be.
I hope you're right, and I'm optimistic that any criminal standard is many years in as opposed to probation, but it is a possibility, unfortunately.
So lines that you have, and we should keep in mind that the authorities are going through the horrible task of getting through those pilots.
I think I'm going to have to read because I don't know. There's a bad reception here for some reason. But you said information pertaining to this dirty couple here. It's very sad information. Today is just nothing is loading up well as far as bringing information. I don't know what is going on today. Terry says why she said, well, Terry, stop liking meet you anyway. Doesn't really matter about who you meet, you know, you're dating, who you deal with, don't deal with. Trouble can find you anywhere. I don't know what is going on. This is just weird. A second, everybody. I need you this information out here. 9 news source. Couple of Colorado funeral home fled home and avoid prosecution, documents say. Many of the 189 bodies that were found and properly stored at Return Funeral Home in Penrose were reported or cremated to the document indicates that. Oh, sorry about that. Hold on. Let's see. Well, hold off.
Owners of the Return to Nature Funeral Home in Penrose face several felony charges for improperly storing.
Okay, I don't know. Nothing is accurate. Anyway, go back to what I was saying. Having an issue here with data not playing. Okay. As I was saying, it indicates that he told the inspector he had been using the building to learn taxidermy, knew he had a problem there. A search warrant was granted and executed at the building. Inside, investigators recovered 189 bodies, some of them with dates of death dating back to 2019. So this is 2023. Stay woke. Okay? 4 years later. So we'll have to ask ourselves, why didn't the people in the town smell these people beforehand? Death is in it. And death is final. Such as the odor. So if you are discarded openly, have not been embalmed, there's going to be an odor with the structure or that you're being held, whether it's inside or outside. The smell is going to come out. So we're going to go back to 2019. These people had to have been smelling back then because this is a natural way of allegedly that they're supposed to be disposing of the remains. I don't even believe they were never embalmed. It's very baffling information. As of Wednesday, 100 bodies have been positively identified. According to the complaint, those who have been identified were reported to the state of Colorado as having been or cremated. So these people put in an official document that these people were buried and cremated, but we now learn they were not. The goes on to say that Return had given the families of loved ones their remains. After John Halford failed to show up at the trial, investigators obtained search warrants for both his and his wife's phones. After reviewing records, investigators concluded that John Halford turned off his phone to avoid detection from law enforcement. It continued to receive messages despite being off, and investigators were able to determine both phones were in Oklahoma by mid-October, the complaint says. On October, search warrant was executed at the Return to Nature location, 944 Elm Drive in Colorado Springs. It is the customer-facing location of the business, and investigators found business and accounting records there. Around October 31st, the landlord sent an email to the Hoffords, indicated they were being the complaint said. In response, the landlord was told they were not contesting the eviction and wouldn't be back to get their belongings, which would be documents and those dead people that are supposed to be already cremated and buried. The search warrant was executed at the Hartford residence on October 17. Numerous items, including their toothbrushes, were missing, the complaint says. Cell phone location for Carrie Hartford's phone near Oklahoma from mid-October up until the day before her arrest. Using that information, investigators focused on a and to potentially remains. Family members who believe their loved one was at the Return to Nature Funeral Home's property but have not been contacted can submit dental records from their loved one directly to the coroner by sending him an email. This is so disturbing. News 9 is the source. Recap of what I just brought you. The owners of Return to Nature Funeral Home in Penrose arrested Carrie and John Hartford were arrested in Oklahoma. They fled Colorado to avoid prosecution, and they face charges of theft, forgery of corpse, and money laundering. This is so bad. They were evicted from this building and left behind all remains of the, and I guess naturally, documents. The odor was coming from 31 Warren Road, according to complaint. They were supposed to meet an inspector there at October 4th, but did not show up, and data tracked them to Oklahoma. I brought you this story a month ago, and I was an older man who owned the funeral home. I did not know it was a person. I mean, this guy looks middle-aged, but no, older. I was thinking, like maybe years old. So from the pictures I saw of the website of the people in the photographs, this is disturbing that you are trusted to respect a dead body, either by embalming the body, whatever type of funeral service you're offering, whatever I signed up for, I'm expecting to get that. I heard that they said to the clients, the loved ones, and it was not actual rates. How can one disrespect the dead? Store them or nothing, knowing what's going to come out of the building. That's number one. Pretend to give fake remains. Give fake remains. That's sand, not even remains. Lie on documents to state that the people are actually dead, cremated, or buried. So you've left the people stacked up near 200 bodies in a room, smelling up the town. Nobody's come forward to say, hey, we're smelling something in here. I find that strange. We're talking about 4 years. So this case shouldn't even be going on this long. So let's ask that question. Why is this a 4-year story coming to fruition? Number one. Why somebody noticed they didn't ever get their remains on time? Go to the state board, complain. Two clients from 4 years ago never got remains. When did they start stacking the bodies up? Well, it's 2019. Goes back to 2019. Somehow, dead bodies, fraudulent documents to the state that they're buried or cremated, bodies never being cremated and given to the families, fake remains given to the family members. This is what punishment be? Should these people get jail time? Because as you heard briefly in the comments about News Nation, that more likely all they're going to get are just fines. No jail time, no prison time. You see, this is what I have a problem with abuse of animals, hoarding of animals, killing of animals, and also this newfound hustle of taking in dead bodies, cremating them for whatever reason. All you're getting are fines, court costs. These are dead people. You were entrusted to bury the people, cremate the people, but yet you didn't do it for whatever reason. And you can't even make up an excuse 4 years stacking up dead bodies. That, oh, the machine broke down, or didn't have the help, or it was a storage issue, or it doesn't matter. You should not take on the responsibility of burying, cremating people if you don't have the resources or the manpower. Giving fake remains is disgusting, vile. Lying on documents, foul. Stocking up the dead bodies, foul. There are no words for what you've done. You deserve jail time, deserve prison time. Let me make prison. Fines. How would you feel with your mother, your father, and you thought you got the remains that you didn't? Or you're waiting on the remains from cremation, you never get them. You get nothing but excuses. These people are, but this type of people we have walking around us, as you heard, same with the human, oh, singing like that type of guy, I'm shocked, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's because you know people. So all the hands that have shook with these people that you think are burying the dead properly, and people have been whispering and talking, hey, don't get over there. You won't get the remains back. You're going to get the remains. And you're also going to smell dead people out of a building that nobody's doing anything about. So I blame the city where the funeral home was, because there's no way you're going to tell me you did not smell dead bodies rotting in there. It doesn't take long for a body to start to odors, toxins. So how are we going 2019 up until now? Nobody noticed anything in the town going by this establishment. You have to say to yourself, living there, somebody's rotting in there. What's going on? And if you got a getting back to 2019, that city is just as low as this guy and lady offers. This is disturbing. 2019 till now, and nobody's done nothing up until now. It probably take 4 years to get something done about dead people in a room. So now we have to go back. How many people lying dead back in there in 2019? And nobody said a word. Oh my goodness, I'm done. This is crazy to me. Okay, everybody. Sorry about that. There's an issue with my computer, so I had to go to my phone. Sorry about that. Uh, as I was saying with the Pastor Copeland, uh, somebody he's worked with, probably more than one, have given commentary about the outing of him. I don't think many people are listening to the information pertaining to Pastor Copeland. This is more than just somebody being outed as cross-dressing, cross-gender, whatever you want to identify him as, because he didn't live long enough to really give information pertaining to who he is, what he was about. His affirmation is that he was dressing up for fun, role play, whatever, humor. But I think it was more than that, because he had an IG page set up, and you wouldn't have an IG page set up as just as a female if it was just for humor, because that's separate. Dressing up behind closed doors, only my wife and I know about it, versus me having an IG page, versus me posting to Reddit, versus me posting to a porn site, versus me putting fictional stories up about neighbors and different people I know of, using their government names, using a child on the porn site. You've gone way out of the realm of doing this for dress up. And I think these people are not realizing the gravity of the situation. We have gone out of the realm of finding out he dressed up as a woman. The man had an entire IG page as a female. He had a profile, a photos of himself dressed up. So anybody could have put two and two together. He was that person dressed up as a female. As I told you before in my commentary last week, your contacts can be linked to your Facebook page. Facebook will ask you, would you like to link your contacts? Such as with IG, it's the same thing. You post to IG, you will get a notification saying, hey, one of your contacts is now on IG. So naturally, if you were curious, you would go on over to IG to see who the person is, their profile. Then you will look at the photograph of the profile, and look at the person and realize, oh, this is such and such from my contacts. So you want me to believe that nobody could have ever, let's just say his contacts were connected. He didn't even think about it. They went over to IG and saw that's the pastor dressed up as a woman. Come on now. You're posting yourself to Reddit, your fictional stories, and using real people's names in the stories. You're posting to a porn site with these photographs of yourself dressed as a woman. You have an IG page dressed up as a woman, but yet you're stunned that you have been found out that you are dressed as a woman, and it's gotten out to the public, and some guy found out from some Republican news publication, and he outed you. You seem to me to want it to be outed. That's my public opinion. Because it makes no sense to, one, have an IG page dressed as a woman. That's number one. Posting to a porn site dressed as a woman. Number two. Making up stories on Reddit about people in the town using their government names. Talking bad about these people using their government names in fictional stories, mind you, and think that nobody's going to go just perhaps say, let me Google this name. And then they find out, oh, it's an actual person. Or they go to Facebook and it's an actual person. And then before you know it, they start connecting the dots. And you're from a small area. It didn't take long for somebody to get wind that you are the person posting on Reddit. You're the person dressed up in the profile on the porn site and IG. I'm trying to understand how this pastor mayor didn't think people were going to find out who he was. And then tells this guy of this syndication, of this publication, hey, don't out me. I don't want this to affect my family, community, blah, blah, blah. But you didn't care when you were talking bad about that lady that you knew of and put her in a fictional story, talking about wanting to kill her and throw her overboard on a cruise ship. She later now finds out this information out, had no idea that you wrote about her in a fictional story. You used her government name, and you also posted pictures of her to a porn site. Why would you do that? But yet you tell this guy, hey, don't out me as a cross-dresser. Then you got all these co-workers and people that work with him wanting to defend him as if they haven't heard about these other dirty things he's done, posting people's pictures to websites, dirty sites, porn sites, making up nasty stories about them in fictional stories. I guess you forgot all about that. But now you want to continue to defend him and don't talk about that. Oh, he cross-dressed. It's no big deal. Well, to some people, they still would consider that a big deal, such as people who go to church, such as people who thought he was a heterosexual, people who looked up to him, thought he was a leader. He also was a mayor, and you're living in small town America. If he wanted to be a cross-dresser, transgender, whatever the hell he was trying to do, because I'm not here to profess what he was trying to do, because he was so jacked up and confused and vile with his behavior, I really don't give two fucks. I'm just going to tell the truth. I don't care. He's a vile human being, in my opinion. That's how I think of him. And I believe he killed himself because he knew he was going to be linked to the Reddit posts, the porn site, pictures of himself, the IG profile, the fictional stories to Reddit where he's talking about the people in the town using their government names. That's what he was really fearing, I think. I think he feared that more than dressing up in women's clothing. Because now people are going to know he's posted their pictures to other sites, porn sites. They're going to know, oh, I made up a story about her, killing her, wanting to be her. I threw her overboard in a fictional story. Well, that lady does know all that, and I'm sure she is baffled beyond belief. So to sit up here and brag about this man, what type of person he was a decent person, nobody should have outed him. Well, some would beg to differ. Why not out him? He was putting himself in public arenas, posting himself dressed up as a woman. He must want it to be recognized. Why would you even show pictures of yourself? Why couldn't he just dress up in women's clothing and be done with it? Nobody knew about it. Why would you make a profile of yourself on IG and then you say, oh, this person was wrong for outing him? It's a double-edged sword. He was dressing up. He posted himself publicly on apps as a woman. And he also was doing dirty things with other people's photographs and making up wild stories about them in fictional stories using their government names. And yet you're defending him. So as I have said before in my commentary with true crime, you are no better than the person that you're defending. You are of a like mind. You're on the same stage with Mr. Copeland. Now, he's dead because he's killed himself. And as I said, I believe he killed himself because he knew what he had done was wrong with the posting of the people's photographs to porn sites and writing fictional stories about the town people using their government names. It was, to me, more than him dressing up in women's clothing. I'm going to try to find that information where he's have people rallying, still speaking on his behalf. Thank you for joining me, everybody. Sorry for that brief delay. Something's going on with my computer. It's not connecting to the router for some reason. I don't know what's going on. But yet I'm using the computer now to look at information. So ask yourself, how does that make any sense? Hold on one second. Hold on. I have to type in certain things. Thank you all so much for your patience. Might be something with the StreamYard app, because that's the only one I'm seeing to be having problems with. Okay, here's the article I wanted to find. MSNBC is the source. This is my last subject matter, and then I will check out of here because I'm already over 2 hours during this live stream. Thank you for your time, everybody, for joining me. This long-winded live, because I talked about several subject matters. This is Sunday Mischief. Thank you so much. This article says Alabama pastor Fred Bubba Copeland should still be here. Fred Bubba Copeland, a 49-year-old husband, father of 3, was the mayor of Smith Station, Alabama, population 5,400. He was also the pastor of First Baptist Church in Phoenix City. So as you hear, we're talking about 2 different cities. One, he was the mayor of Smith Station, Alabama, and then he was a pastor of a church in Phoenix City. 2 days after a conservative news website published photographs that Copeland had reportedly posted to an adult website showing him wearing women's clothes, makeup, and a wig, and the same day the news site reported that Copeland had posted photos of others without their consent, Copeland died by suicide. Copeland said he'd taken pictures with my wife in the privacy of our home in an attempt of humor because I know I'm not a handsome man nor a beautiful woman either. I apologize for any embarrassment caused by my private, personal life. He told the congregation, this will not cause my life to change. This will not waver my devotion to my family, serving my city, and serving my church. Well, he lied there because he killed himself. So obviously, he wasn't devoted to serving his community or the church, and he was a hypocrite, and even saying that then before killing himself at Wednesday night service because he was a fraud. He obviously liked dressing up in women's clothes. Perhaps he wanted to be a woman. Perhaps he wanted to transition. He denied that as well, that he was not taking any type of medicines to alter himself physically. But when you see him in that sweater, that leopard sweater, he does seem to have a girly figure with hips and everything. So I don't know if he wore some type of bodysuit underneath those clothes. I'm not really sure, but in the end, he was still a fraud. And even his last words in the sermon to the Wednesday night service, he was a fraud. He says he had nothing to be ashamed of. But fortunately, like his friend, former U.S. Senator Doug Jones of Alabama, we live in a mean, bitter world where the self-righteous tend to throw the largest stones. And you are so right, Senator. We as people in general, whether we're Christians or not or believe in God, we throw stones at people. We can do wrong, and then yes, we can still say that what this person did over here was wrong because we as people compare crimes. Well, what I did over here ain't as bad as what he did or she did because we're of the flesh, and that's what we do. We judge. Yes, so indeed. He says, I didn't know Pastor Copeland, but as someone who has pastored churches in rural South, I know many people like Pastor Copeland. That is, I know people daring to live and love in the messy complexity of intentional community. Congregational life is not an easy pull. There is intimacy. There's an intimacy folded into that, makes it sharp edges that much more painful. The anatomy that the internet can provide can be easier because it allows for a disconnectedness that the personal nature of the congregational life doesn't allow. When you are a pastor, you know these people know you, and ideally within that connectedness is the unwritten contract of congregational life, that we will live in the hope of the divine through care, compassion, and consideration. We make unspoken promises to the gospel toward one another. But when the news of Pastor Copeland's photos emerged, the whisper campaigns and networks of suspicion and scandal were activated. For 48 hours, Fred Copeland was relentlessly attacked. Not Pastor Copeland, not the Reverend Copeland, but Fred Copeland. The father, husband, son, and friend was attacked for pictures he posted on an adult website. And 48 hours later, he lost the battle. Doug Jones says, I'm so saddened at the death of my friend, Mayor Bubba Copeland. He was a good man, great mayor who led the small town of Smith Station through the tough times of a devastating tornado a few years ago. I toured the destruction with him, helped him navigate the FEMA. I'm going to see what they say about this. I've brought you this commentary before, because I really don't like rereading stuff that really has no bearing on anything. The FEMA recovery efforts and made sure that he was able to plead his case directly to President Trump. It is sad and disgusting that he was treated by the 1819 News for personal decisions, however misguided they may have been. We live in a mean, bitter world. Self-righteous tend to throw the largest stones, and the at 1819 News is the perfect example. Well, what you seem to have left out, Mr. Doug Jones, is the other atrocities that happened. Whether you want to consider dressing up as an atrocity, let's just say that was his choice to dress up. But he put other people's names on blast in public apps information without their consent, showing their photographs, writing nasty commentary and fictional stories about a woman, also posting her picture to a porn site, if I'm not mistaken. Also, fictional story about throwing her over a cruise ship, wanting to be her. This fictional story he made up of her. This woman was known to his family, may even been close to the family. She had no idea he thought of her in this way. And then you want to sit here and talk about cross-dressing. No big deal. This Republican news entity was out of line for outing him. Well, I'm not going to claim why they outed him. That's for them to do that. Where I was curious to how they got the information that he was this person dressed up on IG, Reddit, porn sites, blah, blah, blah. Who put two and two together? That's where I was more concerned. Who took the information to 1819 News? Or did somebody from 1819 News discover the mayor pastor was this profile on the porn site and Reddit and also IG? Then that means they were living the life of scouring porn sites or read the Reddit posts or saw them on IG. Take your pick. As I said, I don't claim to know who posted the information originally. I mean, who got the information out to 1819 News? If somebody from 1819 News did the discovery or not, I don't know. I don't know if it'll ever come out. The point is, besides the cross-dressing, the IG profile, Reddit profile, porn site profile, he posted town people's pictures without their consent, Mr. Doug Jones. He wrote a nasty fictional story about somebody he allegedly known, wrote a story about murdering her, idolizing her, obsessed with her, and then killing her in a storyline and used her government name. Used government names in storylines and also put these people pictures on porn sites. And then you sit here and talk about throwing stones. You're not making any damn sense. You wouldn't have this same commentary had it been your name put into fictional stories or your name posted on porn sites along with your photograph. Maybe that should happen to you and you'd have a different view of Mr. Copeland. You're focusing on the cross-dressing. Let's scratch the cross-dressing. Let's stick to the photographs posted to the websites, pornographic websites, sir. Had it been your wife, your daughter, your child, your niece, your mother, grandmother, whomever, you wouldn't have the same attitude. And that's what's baffling about all of this. And some would look at you and say, well, how could you feel this way about him? How could you be defending this man when he's supposed to be leading people to redemption, leading them to God, leading them to Jesus, leading them to the water? And yet he's pretending to be a pastor, but dressing up in women's clothing, which people are going to think it's more than just humor because he had an entire IG page catered to this female profile, pronoun she. And yet you are downplaying his actions as a pastor, as a mayor, as a father, community leader, husband, friend, straight male, allegedly, versus what's been revealed to the public. You're trying to speak for a dead man and you cannot. You're upholding a dead man when you should not. Because he told on himself by leaving a blueprint of how he felt about the town people, how he felt about himself, how he felt about his wife, his family, how he felt about people who voted for him, how he felt about being a leader and a pastor. He didn't care. And yet you want to defend him and say, oh, he was outed. We're in a cruel world. You want to talk about pastor life versus social media life, and you can be who you want on social media. You can use this as an outlet. That's the reason why he's dead, because he used social media as an outlet. And I still believe in some ways he wanted to be outed. Because once you put up a profile of yourself dressed as a she, What message are you sending to the public? Because if you're telling the world, oh, I'm a guy dressed as a woman, you don't think somebody wouldn't be trying to figure out who that guy is underneath the wig and the makeup, sir? Come on now, Mr. Jones. Since now you want to speak for plain dress up, transgender life, blah, 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 blah. Because you're not thinking about that you're basically upholding his behavior and his actions. Whether you are transgendered, homophobic, not homophobic, condone same-sex relationships, courtships, transgendered life, so on and so forth. This man was misleading people. As my pastor once said, the Bible only speaks of homosexuality at least twice in the Bible. But like he said, I don't want a gay man preaching from my pulpit. Checkmate. I don't have to dislike you because you're gay, transgender, whatever. But like he said, I don't want you up here in the pulpit. And I'm sure many people would agree. They don't want a gay pastor. They don't want a transgender pastor. They don't want a pastor dressing up in women's clothing. Probably don't even want one that looks at porn. And that's the whole point. You don't know what people are doing behind closed doors. You don't know what they're saying. You don't know if they're cursing. You don't know if they're vengeful, spiteful, hateful, or participating in homosexuality, sexual assault, rape, whatever the sin is, murder. But when he decided to have an open profile on a site that sends notifications to people that, hey, your friend is on here from Facebook, your contacts. How long did you think it would be before people would put two and two together? That was the pastor, the mayor. As I said, you can connect Facebook and IG together. They can sync together, number one. You also can sync your phone contacts to IG, Mr. Jones, since you know so much. Obviously, you don't. And he could have been outed that way. He's got this fake profile of him as a female. Didn't think that his contacts were linked to IG. Somebody got a notification, hey, your friend such and such, you know, sugar mama, whatever, is on IG. They go to IG and look at the photographs and say transgender, then start looking at the photograph and say, damn, that looks like the pastor. That looks like the mayor. Oh, that looks like my friend. You are blind, sir. We have to stand account for the things we do, how we act, how we portray ourselves. And naturally, we have all sinned and fornicated and done horrible things with people, said horrible things, slept with people that we wouldn't want other people to know about. Same-sex relationships, courtships, may have liked somebody, had a crush on them, same-sex, whatever the sin is, wouldn't want people to know. But when you advertise yourself on a public fucking app, who are you to say what somebody should not have done when he put himself there? He got caught, but that's on him. This man dressed up as a woman on a public app, and yet you're saying somebody should feel shamed out of him. Now, at first, I was thinking the same to some degree. Wow, these people went after him for some reason. But then I had to think, let me get all the information first, which is what we're supposed to do before judging a story. So that's what I did. I went in the belly of the beast. I went into the abyss. And I got the 411. That he put himself out there on a public app, which is IG. He posted a profile dressed in women's clothing, talking, ranting, posting pictures to porn sites as well, putting other people's pictures to porn sites, making up fictional stories to Reddit of people in the town using their government name. So where is the liability for Mr. Copeland? He did those things. He talked about his neighbors. He put their pictures out there on public sites, nasty sites without their consent. Even the child's photograph he used. since you want to defend him. You have no right to defend him. Your choice, but it ain't right. Because he was a dirty bird. Now, he wanted to dress in women's clothing. That is his business. If he wanted to transform himself into a female, alleged female, which we know you never can because a man can't never be a woman, that's his business. But don't say somebody outed him when he helped out himself by going on a public platform dressing as a woman. Going to porn sites dressed as a woman and half naked photographs. And then he went in the belly of the beast by putting people's photographs onto porn sites, using their imagery without their consent, even a child's imagery, and also writing fictional stories about townspeople using their government names. So you need to check yourself before you defend this man, because he was vile in life. And some of you had no idea who he actually was. So as I said, we could scratch the cross-dressing, put it on the back burner. You can't logically explain putting a child's picture on a fucking pornographic site. Making a wild fictional stories about the people using their government names. Where is the logic in that, sir? That's my commentary, everybody. I want to thank you for joining me. This was a multi-subject live stream pertaining to Sean Williams, Kaitlyn Armstrong, Lori Chad Daybell, a Colorado couple accused of hoarding dead bodies from 2019 up to 2023. They've been arrested in Oklahoma trying to evade prosecution. Rex Heuermann, his wife Elsa, her complicity and role in the murders of these said people and others. And also here, Pastor Copeland, who killed himself after being outed by this Republican news publication. It is what it is, as Elsa would say. So you have to be very careful of the blueprint you leave. Because you can't go out here and do things, and then you do it publicly on public platforms, and then you get mad that something's gotten out about what you were doing and not doing, when you were aiding yourself to be discovered. And as I said, I feel in some ways he wanted to be outed because he publicly put himself out there on these different avenues where he could be seen. And there are people who do watch porn. Hello. And if you're telling people, hey, I'm a guy dressing up as a lady, it's only a matter of time somebody's going to try to put two and two together who you are, especially if you start talking and giving little hints of where you are, where you're from, your demographic. It is what it is. Have a wonderful week. I will post my movie of the week. I mentioned a movie of the week last week, but I didn't put a posting of it up on my community page, but I will put a posting of it, movies of the week and new storylines. I will bring you more information. I have one more story to bring you pertaining to Stephen Avery. I am almost 2 weeks behind on that. Forgive me, but I will bring you the latest on that information, and we will just dissect the documentary pertaining to an inmate that was incarcerated with Mr. Avery, and he believes that he was groomed to be a killer, Mr. Avery, that his time in prison for a crime he allegedly did not commit, and that he was released from prison on a rape of a woman in a park. This inmate believes that Mr. Avery was groomed, that he was pushed into becoming a killer because of that wrongful conviction. Do you agree? Please take the polls on my community board. I have polls on there right now pertaining to the latest events, the storylines that I brought you today in this live stream of Rex and Elsa and Kaitlyn, Colin, Chad, Lori, different various stories. Take the polls, make your voice count. Like, share, subscribe, drop your comments below this video. Put your comments on the post and the news stories. I will be back with more stimulating content and commentary. Have a wonderful week. Happy holidays to everybody. And I will see you soon. You've been listening to The Vault XL. Thank you.